You've made good decisions all your life. Let your last be your best. Find out what it's all about coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Happy Labor Day and welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Advanced Audiology and Hearing Aid Center off of Highway 17 at 6th Avenue South, across from the main post office in North Myrtle Beach. We're focused on the after-death industry, and we're visiting with the funeral director and embalmer, Neal. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in. What about this Advanced Audiology?
Yeah, this is great. A beautiful building up here.
It is.
And she's all over. I mean,
yeah, she is.
Conway and Myrtle Beach, or
she's
Surfside, and then up here.
That's right. Yeah. I think 3 or 4, maybe
three offices. I think.
Seems like she is everywhere. You're right.
Yeah.
And that U.S. Post Office right across the street. It's so easy to find this location.
Sure is.
It really is.
Yeah.
Are you originally from the area, Rick?
No, sir. I'm from Kentucky originally. Well, I was born in Ohio, and then when I was 12 years old, my father moved us to Kentucky, and we started farming.
Is that right?
And I was raised in a little town called Pine Knot, Kentucky.
Pine Knot. Is that
Pine
2 words?
Knot. That's 2 words.
Right.
It's right in the middle of the big South Fork National Recreation Area and near Cumberland Falls State Park.
Mm-hmm.
So our house was 15 minutes from both.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, lived there and graduated school there, high school there.
Okay, good.
Till I left for college.
Is that right? Had you thought that was going to be an area that you wanted to spend much of your life?
Well, yeah, but you know, my folks always loved the beach area. Mm-hmm. We always talked about moving to the beach, and Dad always thought he wanted to move to Florida, but you know, he was crippled up and wasn't able to, so I stayed there and then moved here in 2001.
Is that right, 2001?
Yeah.
So you were in Pine Knot, Kentucky almost the entire time prior to moving here?
Well, yeah, except what time, I was in college and what time I was in the United States Navy.
You were in the Navy?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was stationed out of Mayport, Florida, on the USS Dale. I was a radioman.
Did you have any combat time there?
Well, no, but I sure got scared a few times.
I bet, yeah.
But I didn't go to Vietnam, but I was in during the Vietnam era.
Right. Wow, what was that like being on a ship?
Well, I thought it was the best branch of service to go in.
Yeah.
But at times it was tough. It's tough being away from your family, when you go on a med cruise or something like that.
Right.
It's tough being away from your family.
Mm-hmm.
But, you got 3 meals to eat a day and a place to sleep. And I thought it was good duty, real good.
You have
duty.
brothers and sisters, Rick?
No, I'm an only child.
Is that right? Are your parents still living?
Well, my father died back in 82.
82, 25 years ago.
Yeah. And then my mother's living, and she's remarried, and I have a real good stepfather.
Does your mother live down here?
No, sir. They live on the farm, the family farm up home.
In Pine Knot?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
That is, do you still get back up there much to see your mother?
Well, I talk to Mom 4 or 5 times a day.
Oh, come on.
Yes, sir.
It's 7 a.m. on Labor Day. How many times? You'll talk to her 4 or 5 times?
I have already talked to her this morning.
No.
Yes, sir.
She's an early riser.
Yeah, buddy. And she tells me, she says, when you get out of bed, I expect you to call. And if I don't call by 8 o'clock in the morning, by 5 after 8, my telephone's ringing.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm Mama's baby boy.
Yeah, that's right. As an only child. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly right. Golly, Rick, it's so fascinating when you think about, and you said you moved here in 2001.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What prompted the move?
Well, I had my own funeral home up there for 18 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was in business for 18 years in Pine Knot. And then, we was there, and one day we had bought some property down here that we wanted for retirement.
Good, yes.
And, we just love this area, and every time we get a chance, we'd get away and come down here and stay in it. And me and my wife was talking, Bonnie, and we just decided, it's time to go. It's time to make a move. Mm-hmm. So we made the leap.
Right.
And love it. Absolutely love the beach area.
It is.
Yeah, I was telling Mama last night, we was talking on the phone, and I said, this is just paradise down here. I said, I just love living here.
Yeah. Of course, your wife ties into one of our later guests this week. Coach Cliff Ellis is going to be with us here at Advanced Audiology on Friday. I believe she and Coach Ellis work together.
She's his secretary, administrative assistant.
Right, great. Of course, tomorrow and Wednesday, Senator Dick Elliott, I think, is going to be with us on Wednesday. I know he'll be here with us tomorrow. We hope he'll stay over and be with us on Wednesday. And then Representative Tracy Edge from District 104 right here in North Myrtle Beach will be with us on Thursday. Should be a very exciting week, but it's great to kick off the week with you. And when we think about the after-death industry or the afterlife industry, when folks think about funeral homes and crematories, what is it that they normally consider that? What is that industry? Is it just the funeral business?
Well, yeah, and a lot of people, they don't know what to think about the funeral business because it's stuff that's never been discussed, and it's coming more open now, and people's talking about it. You was talking about Tracy Edge, Robert Edge, his brother.
Robert Edge is his brother.
Yeah, and he's the coroner and has been here for like 20 years or something.
Wow.
And he was on the news last week, and they had done an interview with him. About some of the deaths and stuff like that.
Sure.
So people's opening more up to talk about it and everything now than what they used to talk about it. Sure are.
As a funeral director, is that something that, and you're also an embalmer, is that something that you're licensed to do?
Oh, yeah. I went to the Kentucky School of Mortuary Science in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
And now, since then, the school's closed down and it's moved across the river into Jeffersonville, Indiana, and it's Mid-America College of Mortuary Science.
Okay.
And but I graduated there in 75.
Is that right?
75,
wow.
Yes, sir. And so then I got my license for a funeral director and embalmer in Kentucky. I'm also a licensed funeral director and embalmer in Tennessee, and licensed in South Carolina funeral director and embalmer.
Is that right? In 3 states. Are the licensing requirements the same in all 3 states?
Well, when I got my license in Kentucky, then they reciprocate with the other states. You do have to come in and take a law test.
Sure. On
the laws of that state, and test about pre-need, pre-need funerals and stuff like that, advanced planning and stuff like that. You have to take a test about that. But, I've got license, and I'm also eye enuclealist through the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, Tennessee.
What is that, Rick?
Well, removal of eyes for transplant.
Oh, wow, okay.
And see, I did a lot of that through the hospital in Knoxville, Tennessee, University Medical Center, and then I also did it in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Okay.
While I was there. And got a lot of experience doing it. But in South Carolina, now they have LifePoint that comes and does that. The funeral directors here doesn't.
Is that right? Funeral directors do not do that in this area.
Right. So, but and that's sponsored through the Lions Club. Was when I was.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I saw you were very active at the Lions Club up in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Were you a president?
I was president of the Lions Club, and then in Tennessee, when I was living in Tennessee, see, we're right on the Kentucky-Tennessee state line.
Why not?
Yeah. So right across the state line is Oneida, Tennessee, and I was active and past president of the Kiwanis Club in Oneida, Tennessee, and then I was a charter member with Gideon's International, setting up a club in McCreary County, Kentucky, where I'm from.
Son of a gun, that's fascinating. A lot of service there, obviously, and the involvement there in public service. Those Lions Clubs are tremendous.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. And a lot of people, and which is a great thing, a lot of people when they die, their families, just like me, wearing glasses.
Right.
They'll take those glasses and give them to us, and we donate them and give them to the Lions Club, so they can give them to other people and use them and stuff. They use the frames, use the lens, whatever, for people that's not fortunate enough to be able to buy glasses.
Rick, we have you listed, obviously, as a funeral director and embalmer. Embalming is a very important aspect of what happens when someone dies. Break that down real quick for viewers who may not understand exactly what happens when a loved one dies, or even when they die later in life? What's going to happen?
Well, you know, some people opt for embalming with a visitation and a funeral service, you know, or there ought to be shipping, you know, where they ship just from here, which is a big vacation area, and then people, a lot of big retirement area, people come in here, and, you know, they'll embalm them and ship them out of town, you know, or
right.
to another state or to
Sure.
another country. You know, I've been involved in the funeral business here since 2002,
right.
and shipped people all over the world. And but embalming is it's a sterile technique of preservation and to a lifelike restoration, you know, of dead human remains, you know. And it's and you try your best to make them. You can't make them to where they are a lifelike appearance, but to where they're as much as you can possibly to be a comfort to the family, where the family has a good memory picture. That's what you're looking for, a good memory picture, that whenever they come into the funeral home and whenever they leave the funeral home after they've seen the person, that they have a good memory picture, that they can think back and think that they was comfortable and they was resting and, you know, at rest. And that's big with families.
That memory component is a very critical one. Just early this morning, I had picked up in the a little scripture here about, it was titled "Able to Forget," and it highlighted that on a, can I just read that to you real quick?
Yes,
it's very interesting. On a cold, dreary November day, I attended the funeral of a friend, and during the eulogy, the widow began to sob loudly. At that point, the pastor spoke odd words, just odd words meant to comfort. "That's okay. Someday you'll be able to forget." Able to forget. The widow's expression made it clear that she had no desire to forget. And I think you just drove home that point. It tied in real well, and it only I just brought that in thinking we'd find some way to tie it in this morning, but you highlighted that desire oftentimes for a family member to remember that loved one, and to remember them oftentimes for very long periods of time.
Well, you know, you talk about embalming. Embalming is not always necessary. You know, there is cremation, and there is direct burial without embalming. You know, in some religions it does not want embalming.
Is that right?
Yeah. And so...
And why wouldn't they want it? The embalming is the process itself, though. The process of embalming is draining the fluids. I mean, it's quite a bit of a process.
It's an arterial injection, you know, into the arteries, and you know, you replace the blood with embalming fluid, more or less.
Right.
You know, and and you know, setting the facial features and everything where they have a comforting look, you know, and trying to have respect and dignity and treat them the very best way you possibly can.
Yes.
You know.
You began to mention cremation, Rick. Is that something that families often turn to?
Yeah, more than they did. You know, and cremation is, you know, it's not the end, because with cremation they can have a memorial service at a later time. You know, right now, the way people work and the way people live all over the country and all over the world, and if someone dies with embalming, you know, usually the service is pretty quick. But with cremation, they can come and they can set up a memorial service at a later time and a more convenient time for families to get together. You know, the thing that a family needs to do is, at the time of death, is to get in touch with your funeral director and set up an appointment as soon as possible to get the death certificate, to get all that taken care of, because before anything can happen, that death certificate has to be signed.
Right.
So, and
that's in every state.
Yes, sir. That's every state. And so you have to have the doctor or the coroner, you know, to sign that death certificate and take care of that, because, you know, people need the death certificates to finalize estates and all that, you know, to probate a will and all that, for insurance, all that stuff. So, and you give the funeral director the information, and they go through the Department of Vital Records.
Okay.
Right here in Conway. If you have a death here, the funeral director can take the death certificate after it gets signed by the medical professional and the funeral director, and all the information on it, take it over to Conway, and the lady's Vital Records over there will issue a death certificate right then.
That is very important.